What was the best thing about summers when you were a kid? What's going on? My name is Earl. I'm back with another nostalgia type video. Obviously summer is fresh on the mind right now, in front on the mind with the kids being on summer break, and they go back to school in about 2 weeks, which to me, I don't think I'll ever get used to that. I grew up in New York, right? And you know, we went to school a little later. They get off of school before Memorial Day, like their last week is right before Memorial Day. For me, in New York, we went at least through mid-June sometime. I don't exactly remember when we got out, but we didn't start back in school until, I believe it was the second week in September. You know, it was the week, I'm pretty sure it was the week after Labor Day. And I know it was in September. So the fact that they start in August, I'll still never get used to that, you know. And in fact, my senior year, I moved out here from New York, and so I had an extra short summer vacation. I moved out here 2 weeks before my senior year of high school. So I came out here, had a short summer, and then started a brand new school in a brand new state. So, all right, so with, yeah, the kids being on summer vacation, they've had some fun things. I think my daughter's in camp right now, and you know, they've had a few things, but it made me thinking, what was some of the things I enjoyed in my summers. So I want you to tell me too what you did, right? So growing up in the 80s and 90s, depending on the time frame of my childhood, right? It was cool, like having like 70 days off of school, I think it was, something like that, right? And it was, the cool part for me was that we had a lot of kids right around the same age in the neighborhood. And so we'd always be out playing sports. And I'm pretty sure like my parents would be like, you can't ring someone's doorbell till at least 8 a.m. I know it was like noon on Sundays. I wasn't allowed to knock on anyone's door till noon on Sundays. But you know, there was a good crew around. We'd always be outside playing, usually, you know, a lot of wiffle ball, right? I played a lot of wiffle ball growing up, and a couple people in the neighborhood had a pool. Every once in a while we'd be able to do that. That was cool. And the other thing I was gonna say, I'm waiting on my grill to heat up, and it's 100 degrees. It just hit 100 degrees on the thermometer. So I figured what better time to do a video about summer than outside in the summer heat. So, but I think that one of the coolest things, I was thinking about this for a little bit, and like there was a lot of cool parts about, you know, summer, just being a kid and not having any worries, right? And you know, we didn't go too many places, but eventually as we got a little older, our parents belonged to this pool in Staten Island, and we'd go there at times, and I believe I was closer to high school age at that time. But still, one thing that always, I think, reminds me of summer, is the best part about summer that I'm gonna go with, was the ice cream truck. Now, you're probably gonna think about the Eddie Murphy stand-up with the ice cream truck. And that's what it'll make me think of too. But it was true, like, it's funny because you could hear the ice cream truck coming from a few blocks away, and we had a couple different ones. I know there was a Good Humor truck that always came around. And the funny thing is, I still remember the name of the guy who drove that truck for the years. His name was Bruce, our ice cream truck driver. I still remember that. And that Good Humor would usually come around after dinner. It would make its rounds to our neighborhood around after dinner. And yeah, sometimes we'd be able to get some ice cream. The Good Humor truck, I'm sure, you know, would have like, they had all the bars, the different bars, right? My favorite, my go-to that I mostly had was a chocolate eclair. I like that. That Good Humor chocolate eclair, that was one of my favorites. And I used to have this one that it was like an eclair, but it had even more chocolate in the inside. But yeah, every once in a while we'd be able to do that. Well, my grandfather, because I grew up next door to my grandparents, and if they were feeling, he'd sometimes give us a couple dollars for some ice cream. You know, ice cream trucks obviously a little cheaper back then, and I never hear one. Every once in a while, over the years, I've heard one around this neighborhood, but rarely, because there's just not a lot of kids here, and I don't even know if there's ice cream trucks that drive around here anymore, to be honest with you. But it was funny with the two different trucks, right? So it had a Good Humor, and I don't know if I said the other name, but the other name was a freezer. freezer fresh, right? It was soft served ice cream, so every once in a while we'd get that one too. That was good, you know, like ice cream in a cone. And I'm a chocolate fan. I like chocolate, so I'd always get, if I was doing that, I'd get a chocolate ice cream. And I'm in between here. It's a little overcasty, but my blue eyes still sensitive to the lights, so I'm gonna go with the shades here. But the ice cream truck part was really cool. We'd always have that come around, and it's funny because I was just hanging out with my son today, and it's, like I said, it hit 100 degrees now. And we ran over to this Italian ice shop that's in the neighborhood. And I grew up on Italian ices too. I don't know if it's bigger back east or what, and I can't think of the name, but they were in the yellow cups, and they'd have the wooden spoon on it, you know, that you can use to scoop up the ice. And I'd always liked the chocolate ones, right? The chocolate was my favorite, and lemon was another. So when we went to this shop today, they didn't have chocolate, and they never have chocolate when I go there. They told me they had it yesterday, but they never have chocolate. So I got lemon, and it's good. But that's something that always reminds me of my childhood, was the ice cream truck. And just like I said, you'd hear it a couple blocks away, and you'd run inside. God, you know, ice cream. It's totally like the Eddie Murphy skit. To me, that's why it's funny. And that's in his Delirious skit when he's like, ice cream. And they all start yelling, ice cream! So, and that's how we would do it with the kids. We'd see him coming down the block as they got to our block, this guy, and we'd all, we'd scream. It was, it was pretty funny. That was one of the things I definitely loved most about my childhood. And yeah, even if we were playing a game, middle of the game, and the ice cream truck, like we'd be mid-pitch, whatever, and then pause, ice cream truck's coming down the street. And yeah, but so yeah, tell me what your, you know, best parts of the summers were. Of course, just being able to be lazy. Like, imagine, you know, you gotta work now, of course, gonna make some money, right? But imagine if work gave you like a summer vacation, but you could still get paid for it. I guess that's the cool part about being and I know teachers, that's a benefit of being a teacher, even though it's probably not the easiest job in the world to get the summers off. One of my neighbors was just telling me that she's like, I gotta go back to school in a couple days already. And but I guess you can get a lot done. One of my friends I played ice hockey with, he's a teacher, and he would do all these house projects during the summertime. And he was I guess he's a handy fella, right? So he would work on whatever project that needed remodeled in his house. And I guess if you have the time off to do that in the summer, it's a good time to do it. Especially if you could. I thought I heard something. So, yeah, what else? What else was really cool about the childhood? You know, and one of the neat things that we don't have out here in Colorado, but we had back in New York, was the lightning bugs, right? You know, as it got dark, those bugs that would blink, and then we'd try to catch them, poor things, and put them in or whatever, and they'd be just blinking in your hand or whatever. Lightning bugs. Those are cool. Yeah, just run around playing. I think that's what I did the most. I mean, I was always out playing sports. I really spent much time inside the house, I feel like, you know, until the street light came on. And that was my parents' thing, was the street lights. The second it came on, that's when we came in. So, you know, those jokes about the Gen X street light being on, but that was the truth, for sure. And actually, there's a street light right across from my house, so I could technically do that one too, when time comes. But yeah, I'm so fortunate that I had the group of, let's see how many, I want to say 8 or 9 of us, all within like 3 years of each other, 3 or 4, like for instance, if I was 10 at the time, there'd be like 4 kids that were 8, a couple 9, a couple, me 10. I think I was the only one the same, like my age. None of the kids on the block were in the same school grade as me. And then then there were like 2 or 3 that were a little older. That would have been like 11, And then if anything, the oldest might have been like 12, right? But yeah, the good times there. And it's funny, when I ever go back there, there used to be a lot less cars in the streets of Staten Island, at least in my neighborhood, than there are now. Last time I went back, there's no way we'd been able to play these games. But all right, reminiscing a little bit here. And it would be really funny if the ice cream truck comes along. All right, what are we at? We're at 183 over here. And it's time to get that thing cranking up. It's easy. The nice thing about this grill is it's you can let it go and time things while I'm inside. All right, stop. Thanks for stopping by for this trip down memory lane. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.